Woo-woo! Mic check. Awesome. How's the energy level in the room? We're up, man. I think we can do a little bit better, right? Can we try that again? How are we doing, San Francisco? Seriously, I need to take notes from Mark here. He had the highest energy level in the room. But how are we doing, San Francisco? That's better. That's better. So good to be here. Exciting day. I mean, I'm just kind of drinking from the fire hose, listening to everybody. And by the way, I wanted to start with like what Matt started off with. Like each of you is a composer, but I think you are all magicians. You make magic happen. You're artists, but you're magicians. And we thought we'll take sort of a outside-in view of that magic in everything that you do. Where does it eventually have that impact, right? Where does the business really feel the impact? Where does the customer feel the impact? So I wanted to kind of start us off with a quick intro of who Tile Shop is. This is their brand, right? This is who they are.
So we're just waiting for one more, is that?
All right, we're good. But, so where Tile Shop actually fits is, they're really a luxury retail brand when it comes to tile.
Okay.
Some of the most expensive tile or the highest in terms of design, and of course, Chris is going to do a much better job of explaining who Tile Shop are and where they fit. But I want to talk to you about their path to exponential growth with composable commerce. And when I say exponential, Christopher is going to talk a whole lot more about what did it mean, where did it even come from. But I want to give a quick rundown. So we have an exciting panel here today. Who am I? I'm Varun Nera. I am the head of value engineering at Netlify. This is going to be really exciting in where we go from here with value engineering, working with our partners, working with the community, all of you in the room. But I put a little tagline there because my approach to technology has always been solution-led than product or feature-led. So where I come from, 20 years in the agency professional services background, I used to lead digital transformations as a chief digital officer. I've worked with a lot of business leaders in really unlocking the value in technology. And really starting off with the vision that Tile Shop sort of came to the table with was that they wanted to drive exponential online conversions. Everybody talks about true omnichannel, but how do they really get there? But they have 140 stores. How do they connect online to in-store? Always that conundrum, like how do you really truly solve for that? Now there's some challenges along the way for them. One of them was, oh, can I go back? That's a bit of lag. Okay, yeah. So we've been talking about composable. We'll talk about an actual monolith, an SAP monolith, right? And their entire business was operating on an SAP monolith. Engineering velocity was dead slow. And marketers had to really enter tickets to do anything with regards to content production, content population, content publishing, and we saw some examples of that today is how all of that is going to change. So what do they do? So first things first, let's dismantle the monolith, right? What does that look like? Actually, this starts not with technology, it starts with experience. So the approach they took was break down the experience into fundamental dimensions. That breaks down into experiences like a search experience, cart experience, right? PDP experience. That then breaks into core capabilities like product recommendations as part of product discovery, right? So I need payment as a service. I need cart as a service. I need promotions as a service. So you start to know what core capabilities tech platforms are going to bring to the table, and then you're going to have a bunch of features. Now, when we took that, we applied the strangler pattern to it, and we said, well, that's what my monolith looks like. All of that is just not ideal. Let's start shrinking that, and they started creating everything as a service. So they are left with like the smallest part of the monolith that is going to be core to the business, but they have a bunch of services that's going to power the future of their business. So, and in the other part of actually putting the stack together, now we're going to talk about really what stack did they choose. So we have Sitecore here today. It's a truly composable DXP. They have all the pieces that are needed to put together a composable stack, but under a single vendor. So everything from content management, digital asset management, true headless commerce, like their commerce platform doesn't have UI. You can literally do everything with pure APIs. It's like Postman it's Postman for e-commerce engine. And it supports every business model, B2B, B2C, marketplace, all in one data model that supports all of it. Intelligent search, all of it came together. And then, I may have clicked that too fast. So what do they go from? Like everything in red was less than ideal. Split in terms of UI. They have portion of the UI powered by CMS, portion powered by SAP, fractured experience. We unified all of that, introduced the middleware, everything works as a component, and then SAP gets pushed down to the bottom of the stack where we want that traffic that hits their .com to be super, super fast and super, super responsive with a very composable tech stack. So with that solution, I think it opened up possibilities for a bunch of other things that they're going to do. But they just launched 2 days ago, and here are the results. Now, you tell me if this is powerful or what. 9x. The best one I like is largest contentful paint, 15x improvement. Now, this is real dollars. All of this translates to real dollars, so we're expecting conversion rate improvement of 20%, average order value up to 25%. Content deployment velocity, I think that should be more than 100%. But customer satisfaction at the end of the day, right? The first day after launch, they had 200 signups. Like they get not close to that, but first day, 200 signups in e-commerce. So it's been pretty powerful. So what we're going to do is spend the next 15 minutes or so talking about the journey. So with that, I'll kind of leave this up so you know who everybody is. And to start off with, I think the interesting thing for me was to bring this ecosystem together. How did you all find each other, right? How did you come together? Who approached whom? How did this partnership form? So I'll start with you, Christopher. You want to suggest how you kind of assemble the dream team here?
As you saw, premium brand, and I had a board that challenged us to drive significant growth, right? E-commerce is a very small part of our total business, primarily brick and mortar. Go 5x. How fast can you do that? How much can you really drive e-commerce to grow? And so I was like, wow, big challenge. Okay, what do I do? And went back to my team. We were already running Sitecore, but we were running a Sitecore monolith, the XP version. And so we looked at that and we said, wow, that's a problem. We talked about some of the other challenges that you've seen. And ultimately, we're like, okay. So my director of e-commerce, he came and finally persuaded me. It took him a while, but persuaded me to work with Sitecore. We talked about their plan, their roadmap to move to Composable, and we thought, okay, we can make that happen. Talked to a gentleman by the name of Varun, who happened to be at Shop Talk, and got to know him a little bit. We were looking for someone to help with managed services, just make that better. Then, as we got going, got brainstorming, we're like, wow, that might be really cool. And then we brainstormed and we drew something on the whiteboard that kind of had this customer vision that drove down and really made it more real. And then ultimately, between Sitecore and Altudo, we decided that it was time to make the investment, right? So we talk about money. Board wants money. So I said, what's the ROI? And I could do the ROI in about 15 months, they said, from the time we were done. So our estimate is that we'll see that ROI. That may not seem great, but what I will tell you is this is a total revamp of the entire foundation. So really excited to have Sitecore and Altudo with us, as well as partnering with Netlify to ultimately talk about what that looks like.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Danny, I don't think a whole lot of people here are very familiar with Sitecore. How many in the room have worked with Sitecore? We got a few hands. That's nice. Cool. Awesome. But I think there's still a large audience that is not familiar with Sitecore.
Yeah, and if you haven't worked with Sitecore, you've certainly been on one of our 3,000 customers' websites. You know, we've been one of the largest digital experience platforms for a number of years, and just like Christopher going through that kind of journey, right? Most of our customers have come from you know, a large CMS base, right? And you know, having placed that investment in Sitecore in the past, we want to continue forward with that. So you know, we power everybody from L'Oreal to Porsche to Nestle, you know, as really big brands, you know, and of course the tile shop. You know, as we showed on the slide there, that movement, right, from that monolithic kind of approach, ERP, et cetera, to that composable solution. We saw that, you know, in the market of where web CMS and platforms are going, you know, maybe three years ago or so, and started to reorganize, and really in the last year have gone, you know, just accelerated like crazy around, you know, the adoption of composable for businesses, because businesses don't have the luxury anymore post-COVID economic times to actually think about large-scale transformation of foundational platforms like ERP, you know, and commerce and things. Are looking for, how can I adopt platforms to give me tactical advantage, right? And how can I, you know, react to, you know, times, the market, product launches, all of those kind of things, new channels, et cetera. So.
Certainly. And let's not forget, very recently, I think you hit your 500 million ARR
yeah,
goal.
Sitecore is about $500 million ARR company. So yeah, we're certainly behind most of the
that
things
is
you'll do
pretty
day to day.
impressive.
Yeah.
And I've been working with Sitecore for, you know, almost 10 years, 10, 12 years, or even longer. But the product and its evolution has been phenomenal. DSF and I go way back too. I'm going to call him DSF. That's what he goes by. Kind of along the similar lines, DSF, if you want to chime in.
Sure. I mean, what we've really seen over the last few years is this departure from these monoliths that have been walled gardens. Like the old platforms, you had to develop in .NET, you had to develop in Java, and you really couldn't innovate except within those walls. But over the last few years, with headless, with Composable, now it's open to all the technology advancements that we've seen over the past few years. So it's like gold rush to really come in and really demonstrate the value of these things. Things like the Netlify platform, of headless, of Sitecore, and it's not just about the technology, it's really about the value that we could drive. Yeah. Because there's real business results that you can get by adopting these technologies.
Yeah. I'm curious, right? It wasn't that, you know, that this was like, or was there a real sort of aha moment for all of you to realize that, you know what, to transform tile shop, composable is the way forward, right? Was there a particular moment, Christopher, when you were like, yep, well, I think this is the way forward?
It was knowing that I needed to be agile, be able to change, experiment, and I had to do it quickly. I'm in retail. Change or die is the statement in retail, and we have to move fast. I know software, you know, you're mostly in software and implementation and delivery of solutions, but you ought to be able to relate to retail. Everybody goes to the store, right? So everybody have a bathroom? A kitchen? So tile is in everywhere. So all of you should be able to relate to tile, right? But you go choose it. It's a project. It's work. And to make it as easy as possible for you, I was talking to someone and they're like, I don't go to stores, ever. And I'm like, well, I've got 140 stores. What am I going to do here? Right? So we're talking about transforming that business. I've been on a journey for 4 years as a CIO at the tile shop, and we started at the bottom. I started doing networks. I replaced every network. I upgraded our ERP. I replaced our point of sale. We did all of these things. But now we have to talk about the customer experience, and what does that look like? So when you're coding stuff, designing solutions, remember that at the end of the day, you're trying to make a bathroom beautiful. And that's really what we're talking about.
Certainly. How did Sitecore say, yeah, we have this monolith that's powering, Tile Shop? Danny, when did you realize that, yeah, we have this whole suite of products that really need to work together?
I think it's very much that I think in our industry there's been a shift, right? The power of the sort of the developer has really stepped up, right? And realizing that there's a really nice marriage you need to create between the developer, the marketer, the merchandiser, et cetera. For somebody like Christopher, he wants to be enabled by developers, right? Not have final fixed world delivered to him, right? So having that sort of composable approach, right, gives the developer the flexibility to enable the business, and somebody like Christopher to pivot, to move fast, to experiment.
So one thing I'll add, composable is not just a buzzword. It's about enterprise architecture. And the thing, especially with the Tile Shop example, is it's not about replacing everything. It's not about starting over and connecting everything with new systems and new investments. It's about really understanding what already exists, what value you're getting out of it, and what are the missing pieces, and how do you weave them together into an enterprise architecture that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that can grow.
I actually love that because we talk about microservices quite a bit, and we think it's a tech architecture pattern. Is really an enterprise design pattern. Your organization has to be ready to actually operate in a microservices architecture. It's not just your technology, right? Similar thing applies to Composable. But kind of looking forward, right? I'm wondering what has this move unlocked for you, Christopher? What can you do now that you weren't able to do before? And have there been lessons learned?
So with the new platform, I'm able to hand my marketing team the ability to deliver content on a much faster basis. Instead of having my developers spend time there, they can spend time on features and capabilities and focus on increased capabilities, such as the omnichannel capabilities. So that's a huge one. Just the fact that the speed is better. I'm going to have much better scores on my search on Google, just because of the speed differences that you've seen here. We're going to be able to start to look at things in the near term, such as connecting that store experience with the online experience, not just from a standpoint of technology, having a portable cart and things of that nature, but also think about bringing the visual and the experiential of walking into a store and having someone ask you a question and say, okay, think about light, think about like color, and think about, what's the third one? I always forget. My CEO's texture. Thank you. You remembered it. My CEO always tells, and this is how you say, think about those. And now let me ask those questions online and give that experience so that they can translate it. Or if they create a quote in the store, I want to be able to transact it so that when you bother to say, oh yeah, I'm ready to go with my project, they take 9 months for planning to actual delivery in many cases for bathrooms, and 15 months, up to 15 months, because people plan and think about stuff for a long time. So we should be able to move faster and give that experience so they can make the right choice at the right time, when they want to, how they want to. So that's the now part.
So I think we're kind of running up against the clock here. I'm going to ask more sort of future looking, and this is again for the whole panel. What excites you about the possibilities of what you think is now possible with the new tech stack? And then same thing for Sitecore, and then for Altudo too, right? You have similar clients coming from the similar background. Like, what excites you about the possibilities?
So I can add entirely new product lines, entirely new customer segments, just with a new experience, which I can design with the new tools that we have, without having to actually work on the back end. I can have a cart, I can have the payments, I can have all those components. I can do I'm primarily retail, I can do commercial, distributor, B2B tomorrow. I could build that solution very quickly. That's what starts to really excite me, because I can then move at the speed of business need, not at technologies.
Talk about that exponential growth, right? Adding a whole new business model, going from B2C being the core to adding a commercial segment, very powerful.
Huge.
Danny?
I think just, if you think about composition, in the back office, live with these different systems over time, sort of live there. I think we often think about composition being, let's compose a website, right? Let's do all the integration for the customer. But equally, all of the, in-store app, right? All of the back office apps, we can compose the experience for them, to operate their business and not necessarily have to sort of suffer a traditional silo screen switching approach as well. I think, that composition, and very much from a Sitecore perspective, we play all the way from content through experience and commerce. Content for us is all about composition now as well. Atomic pieces of content being able to be composed together into different experiences. And if you layer in AI to that, the explosion in the variation of content and everything, I think what excites me, but I think everybody should be aware of, is managing content is going to become more of a challenge for businesses. It was always a challenge for big content businesses, your L'Oreals and everything, who had all of those digital assets. It's going to come back towards traditional business in terms of how you manage, the content and experience you give, because you can now do thousands of variations for different customers and things. Yeah,
and I know you used to lead the product team. You're now the CTO, and I hear some incredible things cooking in the kitchen, which will be launched in 10 days. We'll hear about it at your annual event, the symposium. Can't wait for it.
Lips are sealed for 10 days, and then.
Fair enough. DSF?
I mean, the thing about these open architectures is you don't know what the future is going to bring, but you'll be able to deal with it, right? I mean, even with some of the platforms we have, SaaS platforms like Sitecore, they're adding features, feels like almost every month.
Yeah.
And just being able to use new capabilities as they become available.
Without having to do an upgrade.
Yeah, and we were just talking about Netlify just launching a bunch of features. All the existing customers, the entire developer community, you just get it.
Exactly.
You just get it, right? That's the power of the ecosystem and the magic of what you all do, right? What we all do. Final thoughts on this, and we can keep it really brief. You come from very unique backgrounds. Any sort of words of wisdom or advice to the audience, if you are coming from the business world, coming from a founder, tech startup, or you're an engineer, architect, any learnings that you want to share?
Always remember the end experience. That's, at the end of the day, it's a customer. And if you don't start there, then it's not going to matter.
Ultimately, this is all about being able to have agility and move faster, right? So the end result is not the code. The end result is the business, being successful and the people in it. So always, customer first.
Yeah, understand the business drivers, the business value that you're trying to do. It's not technology for technology's sake. It's solving a problem using technology.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Such an incredible panel, and I'm lucky to get to host these wonderful gentlemen here. And thank you all for listening in. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. And then let's go party. Tonga is waiting for us. So,
thank you.
All right. Thank you.